1968. Got some fun memories also. Already during the course of the reunion, I have heard the reflection that I have planned over and over and over again. So at the last minute I said, well, you know, we need to hear something different. And I thought about my sister, Maya Angelou, and how she must have had similar experiences with us when she wrote, "And Still I Rise." I find her words in "I Still I Rise" very reminiscent of the era we are commemorating this weekend, that I hope we will carve in stone. I also find her words very relative in my life today. She sat down somewhere at some time and she decided that, "And still I rise." And she said, "You may write me down in history with your bitter, twisted lies. You may trod me in the very dirt, but still, like dust, I'll rise. Does my sassiness upset you? Why are you beset with glue? 'Cause I walk like I got Orwell's puppet in my living room. Just like moons and like suns, just like hopes springing high, still I'll rise." Did you want to see me broken? Bowed head and lowered eyes, shoulders folding down like teardrops, wounded by my soulful cries? And does my haughtiness offend you? Don't you take it awful hard, 'cause I laugh like I've got gold mines digging in my own backyard. You may shoot me with your words. You may cut me with your eyes. You may kill me with your hatefulness, but still, like air, I'll rise.
I would like to say good evening to all the alumni. First of all, I would like for the class of 1970 to please stand. For those who finished 1949 through 69, those were the great years. Our class was the first class to totally integrate the Dothan City school system. So we knew that we had to work very, very hard. But what I would like to say is that we made it. No matter that integration became into effect, we strove, we tried to work hard, and we made it a success. And I would just like to leave you these words of this song. When you walk through a storm, hold your head up high and don't be afraid of the dark. At the end of the storm is a golden sky and a sweet silver sun of the morn. Walk on with hopes in your heart and you'll never walk alone. Walk on, though your dreams be tossed and torn. Class of 1970, class of 1949 through 69, we salute all of you.
It seems the class of 65, they really never had a lot of diplomacy. We were wild and crazy. And we sort of like lived overnight. Not really, I'm just saying that. But the class of 65, I'd like you to stand up to one that's here. We were the last class to finish Old Carver. We are proud of that. And we just want to say that, get up here and say something. Because they was at 67 and 68 and those 65, so that was the year 65. At least I think Mr. Dickens, he should know because we gave him a lot of headaches. I got Stringer here. Trying to get Willie to come up here, but he was afraid. I don't know why. But we just want to say, we want to let you know we are here. And thank you very much.
Yes, class of 1965, we were the first group that had a fatality in the Vietnam War. And we were the largest group that participated in that Vietnam War. I was a casualty of that war myself. And I'm very happy to be here tonight. Thank you very much.
But I stayed home.
I would like for the greatest class that ever came through George Washington Carver High School, the class of 1969, to please stand. I'll remain standing for just a few minutes. We have made history in a lot of different ways. We'd like for Yvonne Potter Lee to please raise her hand. Is she still here? Okay. She is the longest reigning homecoming queen, probably in Southeast Alabama, because she has reigned as queen of Carver High School for 22 full years. And that is indeed a record. You know, they were talking about Mrs. Holman, and maybe I remember this differently. And they were talking about how she touched so many lives, but that is not the part of the anatomy that I remember her touching. And if anybody, I know you all know what I'm talking about. Everybody knew that if you did anything, or if they thought you did something, you were going to Miss Holman, and she would not just talk to you either. She would touch a part of your life that you didn't want her to. In 69, we like to increase our vocabulary with such terms and phrases as, can you dig it? Which meant, could you understand? Buku, that was an undetermined number. The donut, I know most of you think, well, this is something you have with coffee, but that's not true. It was two pair of bobby socks rolled down together.
No, Jackie. A donut was Harold Johnson and Chuck Leonard and Ezekiel Lee driving 120 miles an hour in a super sport trying to turn around and do a 360-degree turn. That was a donut. Does anybody remember in the class of 69? That was the indication that the judge had arrived. And if you heard those, you would take off on the educational wing and try to run over there by the band room. And for some reason, I don't know why, but Mr. Smith had lightning speed. You could hear the keys over here, and when you get on the other side, he would be standing. I mean, he was magic. You know, he would be standing over in the other end of the hall. You said, Fred, do you seem to have a problem going to class? Then he said, meet me in my office in 60 seconds. And then he would disappear, and then I would go to the office, and I said, well, and He said, I've been waiting on you 5 minutes. And he'd be already arrived. And also, in 1969, Aretha Franklin was singing a song, Respect. R-E-S-P-E-C-T. Class of 1969 had the necessity to strike the cafeteria. After 40 years, we were the only class had the necessity to insult Miss Greenwood's biscuits. But we went to the high court, and the judge was there again, and he made a decision. Your little brown bag that you bought with you today to insult Miss Greenwood, you will sit here and hold it all afternoon. And if it's mayonnaise, he hoped that it owed it. And at that point, there was no more lunchroom strike, and Miss Greenwood retained her dignity as the cook at Carver. And I'm not going to tell you how many people he chastised. You know, come and think about it. Many of you have sit here all night, and nobody said anything about how people used to pound y'all and discipline y'all and whoop y'all and beat y'all and threaten y'all. I know it's against the law now, but they know they did it. They know they did it. All them teachers, y'all don't stand up, stand up, stand up, stand up, stand up. Now, if y'all didn't do it, then y'all don't stand up. God is my witness. And the athletic program, but all the coaches stand up, all coaches, all the principals now, all coaches stand up. Coach Bryant, come on, stand up. Is Coach Bryant gone? See that? Yeah, oh, there you go. Prop had 3 famous words, and then I'm gonna shut up. He would always come to the locker room at halftime. He said, we need some deep. Yeah, some defense and determination. Then he would look around and we'd be playing Booker T. Washington or somebody, and guys come in and they bleeding all out the side of the head. And he would ask the question, anybody hurt? And then he would look around, he said, I know damn well ain't nobody hurt you, ain't done a damn thing. Those are his famous words. Thank you, Coach Bryant. Coach Morrison, on the other hand, he had one famous word. Press. You ain't pressing. Press, 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 press. We all thought we was going to be laundry people. We got through. We thought we was going to be laundry people. I want to go. But I want you to know that the people in the class of 1969 were some wonderful people. None of them drank. None of them smoked. None of them had babies. None of them. What else we didn't do? I'm trying to, clean us up a little bit because we were so bad they closed the school down.
We wanted to end on a more serious note, and a somewhat sad note also for us. We were the only senior class to have a yearbook, and it was called the Jawaka. And we were the final and grandest graduating class of a great institution. Thank you to everyone who touched our lives.
As we near the culmination of our first Grand Carver reunion, with mixed emotions, some joyous, some sad. Joyous because we've been able to come together, yet summer that we soon must part and return to the foremost corners of the earth. As we commence to travel this road of life, we find out just what life is. Life is a race. Don't whimper if the track is rough and the goal is distant. One day you shall reach it.
This evening, eternal God, our Father, we come, you have allowed us to come again. We want to say thank you. We thank you for thy goodness and we thank you for your mercy. But then, Lord, you said that your mercy would endure to all generations. We're here and you have brought us together from all parts of this United States. Thank you. We thank you for the seed that you planted in someone's mind, and thank you that you watered that seed.
I stand here for the purpose of bringing you words of greeting. I would like to think by now you already know just how happy we of the Wiregrass area are that you are participating in the Carver High Grand Reunion. I honestly hope that warmth, love, and friendliness has penetrated from us here in the surrounding area to all of you who have traveled from near and afar to share in this first-time Carver reunion from 1949 to 1971.
On behalf of Carver High School faculty, we greet you, classes of 1949 through 71, Carver High School.
Tonight, the legacy that you left behind in Dothan City Schools is still alive. I bring you greetings from the Dothan City school system, where we have grades kindergarten through 12th grade. 11 elementary schools with a new school just completed. We have 4 middle schools and 2 high schools, plus a vocational center. We have over 1,000 employees here in this city. We have a budget of over $20-some million per year. This is a part of the legacy of which you once belonged.
I congratulate the persons who had the vision to decide and foresee that such occasion needed to be held. Where there is no vision, the people perish, and the history of a people perishes where there is no vision. And one of my fondest memories is the fact that as a boy, my daddy and mama brought me out of the country a few miles south of here to hear Dr. George Washington Carver speak over at old Wiregrass Stadium. So as we think about Carver, the name Carver, the school Carver, remember that Carver was named for somebody. And it's a great thing. To remember for whom you were named. And you ought to take on some of the characteristics of the one for whom you were named. A story is told about a soldier who was a part of Napoleon's army. He was mischievous, he was devilish, he stayed into something. So finally, after everybody else had done what they thought they could with him, they brought him to Napoleon. And Napoleon gave him a good chewing out, not knowing what his name was. But when he got ready to leave, he said, "By the way, soldier, what is your name?" He said, "Napoleon, sir." Whereupon Napoleon said to him, "Young man, either change your conduct or change your name." This school is named Carver, lest we forget. Lest we forget, there is a reason for Carver, not just to have another Carver, because there was one in Montgomery, there was one in Gadsden, whose mail we got a lot of times of the hours, and not because there were Carvers in a lot of other places, but lest we forget that this Carver came about because there needed to be a new beginning. At North Highland, there were grades 1 through 12. That's too many. So an attempt was made to improve. Just make it 7 through 12. Lest we forget there was need for more space. Lest we forget that there was the need for some people to try their wings. Lest we forget the school was placed in what was then a booming population of the black folk it was supposed to serve. Lest we forget. Lest we forget that there was a man who was called upon to serve this school as administrator, who had much in common with the man for whom the school was named, Mr. John Thomas Porter, who himself was not given much of a chance to live, who suffered with rheumatic fever, whereupon the doctor told his mother he may live few days, few weeks, few months, few years at most, but who, in spite of handicaps, went on to become a great educator, great singer, great writer, state officer, a leader of people who was often misunderstood by his peers and by the members of the community that he served, but who goes down in history as a man that Carver cannot ignore and Dothan cannot forget, lest we forget. William Carver, the hymn writer, who wrote many, including There's a Fountain Filled with Blood, was at his best, in my opinion, when he wrote the hymn, God Moves in a Mysterious Way, His wonders to perform. He plants his footsteps on the sea and rides upon the storm. Deep in unfathomable minds of never failing skill, he treasures up his bright design and works his sovereign will. God moved in a mysterious way to get me to Carver. In 1948 to 1948-49 term, I wondered why God sent me to Greene County, Alabama, next door to Tuscaloosa County, and why he kept me there in 49-50. Well, one thing pretty soon became clear. He sent me there to find a wife who would be the mother of this daughter who played the prelude, who was in the last graduating class of Carver in 1969. One other who would have been in the class of 1971 if we had stayed, if they had stayed there, and another. But it turns out that the man who was the principal of Eatman High School in Eutaw, Alabama, was a dear friend, schoolmate of Mr. Porter. And we talked back and forth. I didn't know Mr. Porter really at that time. And Mr. Porter invited Mr. B.R. Jarvis to be the commencement speaker at Carver. Some of you may remember. And we met for some fellowship after that. And things began to fall in place for me to make my way to Carver. Let me say this to young people and the not so young. You better be careful how you treat everybody. You don't know who may say a word for you. Many times in my life, folk that I never thought that I would see again, folk that I never thought I would hear from again, have been the very people who have opened the door for me. They have been the very people that God has used to get me where he ultimately intended for me to go. Somebody said you better be careful how you treat folk on your way up, because you're going to meet those same people on your way. So I was employed at Carver in 1953 to do a lot of things that other folk didn't want to do. and ultimately assistant principal, and then upon Mr. Porter's homegoing, January 1st, 1962, I became principal with a lot of help from a lot of folk. Well, lest we forget that Carver was in a community of folk who wanted a school, a community of people who were proud of the school. Community of parents who would come to the school and support whatever the school had. I dare you to say you were having anything worthwhile, and everybody from the preachers up or down would come and help you and have it. Lest we forget that there were parents then where you didn't have to worry about getting everybody in the world and city government and county government to help you raise your children. Their philosophy was you raise your own children, then if you have any time left, you help your neighbors raise their children. They would fan your hand, put the Board of Education on the seat of knowledge, and tell you to do the same. And then if you didn't do a good enough job, you know what? The whole while I was at Carver, and I think I got many witnesses here, they would tell you, as the song says, I won't hold back, I didn't hold back. And I don't apologize for it tonight. Such Tommy Rock and foolish talk as child abuse and taking somebody to court because they gave a child a paddling, they would tell you, you better do it. If you don't do it. And then when the child got home, if you let them know, they would do some more. That's why the Carver High alumni can be here tonight holding head high with a spring in their step, a gleam in their eye, knowing where they're going and how to get there and what to do when they get there. Lest we forget that those who were not parents of children who attended Carver High School had compassion, had sympathy, had empathy, and we didn't have that good old federal lunchroom program like we have now, where you can have breakfast, brunch, and lunch, and afternoon snack, and supper. What we had, and I was thinking the other day as I was running through my mind the things that may be appropriate for this occasion, a group, and I remember Mr. Charles Wood, you may know about owning television and some other things and his wealth and whatnot, but I remember exchanging correspondence, and every month a group would send some money. And some of you who were eating at Carver, and probably blessed Miss Greenwood and the rest of us, didn't know where, sometimes we don't know where our blessings come from. Somebody was saying the other day, if I can get $5 million, if I get blessed with $5 million, I'll be happy. And somebody else said, if I get blessed with $1 million, I'll be happy. And then they looked at me and I blurted out, any way you bless me, Lord, I'll be satisfied. Lest we forget, the students who went through Carver had pride. The students who went through Carver were not the kind like some you have now when you said, Johnny, pick up a piece of paper. I didn't put it down. They knew how to respect their teachers, how to respect their peers, how to respect their surroundings. They were willing to give. They might not have had much, lest we forget that Carver turned out some terrific students. Lest we forget that Carver did that because Carver had some dedicated teachers and support. Carver didn't have a union. Nobody never talked about going on strike for higher wages. And people weren't always in the superintendent's office. I'm not saying teachers still don't get what they were. Dedicated teachers still not getting so don't anybody misread me now. But the point I'm making is, I remember fondly the fact that the teachers, many of whom are sitting here, and I'm not going to start calling names because I miss somebody that want to be mad with me, but they worked. They worked overtime. They came early, they stayed late. Not for fame, not for fortune, but because they loved the students who were their charges at Carver High School. God bless you. And until we meet again, and we never meet again this side of heaven, I'll be waiting for you on the beautiful shore. And until we meet again, may God hold you in the hollow of his hand.
You, the alumni, the guests, the former faculty, and of course, our former principal, who is our only living principal of Carver High School, have made this first grand reunion what it is thus far. It gives me great pleasure to introduce the alumni and their guests by class years.
You know, I don't know if I will be here for the next grand reunion. And you don't know if you will be here. The next time someone might be lighting a candle for me. I would like to read this poem entitled Yellow Roses. I'd rather have one little rose from the garden of a friend than all the choicest flowers when this weary life must end. I'd rather have one pleasant word in kindness said to me than flattery when my heart is still and life has ceased to be. I'd rather have a loving smile from friends I know are true than tears shed around my casket when this world I bid adieu. Bring me all the flowers today, whether pink or white or red. I'd rather have one blossom now than a truckload when I'm dead. As I call the year that you attended or graduated from Carver High School, would you please stand in memory of your deceased classmates and teachers?
I'd like to say just a word or two on behalf of the Carver High School faculty. Throughout this gala reunion, we have shared laughs and hugs, smiles, and other expressions of love. And we want you to know that this has been a grand experience for us also to see many of you come back and see you looking so well. God has truly been good to all of us. And I think we should recognize that fact and don't ever forget to thank and praise Him. Okay. Precious Williams, I believe she's the only teacher from out of town that was on the faculty. I believe it was 1950. I heard her say today, I'm not certain again, we were hearing a lot of things today, I should have had a tape recorder. But I remember her saying that she was one of the librarians. Right, the first librarian? Well, I know she said she's one of the librarians, she didn't make that Miss Walton. Okay, we wanted to make mention of that because that means a lot to us.